Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we give you 4 or 5 interesting tech topics, get you on your way in about 20 minutes or so. Are you a big fan of new laws? We're going to talk about that today. And if there's a story you'd like to see us cover, Creation Station at Broward.org comes right to me. Today, we have Trey from AALRCC, African American Research Library. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, Bob?
So, Trey, you are one of those people in the system that is like a slightly undefined thing. So tell people, what do you actually do there?
So I do pretty much a host of things. My official position here at AALRCC is a librarian, an adult reference librarian. But I find myself assisting in a lot of the youth services programs. I oversee the fiction catalog for adults, and Miss Lisa, who oversees the youth services department here at AALRCC, she's allowed me to take over some of the ordering for some of the manga and the comics for the youth services department, being that I'm such an anime head. And so yeah, man, like I do a host of stuff. I do I plan 2 of our locations, two of our locations largest events, and
we're going to talk about one of those that's coming up real soon here at the end of the show. You've got one of those jobs where you're up and down the whole spectrum of things and doing a lot of programming. And October is programming month.
Yes.
So we're featuring all the various people around the library system who will concentrate on programming, and Trey is one of those that I am constantly like, hey, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I don't know how we can pull this off, but we'll make something. I don't know.
Exactly.
And speaking of making something out of nothing, our first story. So we did put a little poll out there a couple of weeks ago about should we keep talking about space? And of course, some people were like, Bob, you're not going to shut up anyway. So we have news from OSIRIS. You'll remember like 2 weeks ago, it came back down to Earth, landed, brought back all the materials off of the asteroid.
Yep.
And they got a chance to open it up for the first time. They did some reveal live yesterday from NASA. Did you get a chance to watch the live feed?
I was trying to go back and catch that stream. I didn't get to watch it all. I'm definitely have plans on going to watch it.
Yeah, I was stuck in a meeting. I didn't get a chance to watch live, but I did go back and see, and just the almost giggling of some of the scientists. Because the picture we're showing you here is the outside of the container that brought back the stuff. They caught so much material when they blasted their nitrogen, because the spacecraft comes down, blasted nitrogen in, so it would stir up a bunch of dust and small pebbles so they could scoop a bunch up and fly off with it. They got so much, the container wouldn't even close properly.
That was my question. I was going to ask that because I saw they were expecting to get around 200 grams of some.
Tiny little, yeah.
So did they get a total weight? Did they say the total weight?
They did not reveal the total weight yet.
Okay.
As of last night, at least, they did not reveal how much they actually have. They did say they're saving 70% of it for future examination, because they know there's going to be better techniques in the future that they can use to do it. But you can see in this picture, here's all this dirt, for a lack of a better word. I mean, there's a scientific term for it, but you and I think it's just dirt.
Yes.
It's got water in it, which is just like mind-blowing that, okay, here we go. We now have proof water exists someplace else in the solar system other than Earth.
Yes.
Which means, yes, life can, as we know it, can exist in other places.
Absolutely.
We've always known in theory that this was something that we could do, but we didn't know for certain. We didn't have proof. How's that? Yeah. So, and the show notes are there for you to go look at these pictures and see exactly what they've done. It is just an amazing thing. Oh, stop.
Did they give any more of a breakdown of what other kind of materials that it may have included? Any metals or anything like that?
So far, they do not know everything.
Okay.
They know, let me get down here to the actual thing here.
I was watching
so
this,
it's carbon. What they're basically saying is carbon-rich material and water-bearing clay is the very beginning of what they've got scheduled so far. They don't want to give out hard scientific, we have this percentage of this and this percentage of that, because they're not at that point of research yet. But this was like so big they had to talk about it.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, this is going to be insane. This is insane.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I was watching this. I want to say it was maybe CNN or MSNBC, but they had Dr. Was it Neil deGrasse?
Yep.
And he was on, and he was basically, giving a breakdown and saying how they're going to allow other scientists from around the world. They're going to, disperse it out to each one of them so they can come up with their own, conclusions and ideas and theories and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see what everyone has to say, given, everyone's level of technology and, which area, they have. So.
Yeah. And one of the reasons they've been expanding that program is just how much they brought back. All of that extra. They were supposed to be trying to get about 60 grams, and they got over just about 250. So almost 4 times as much as they expected to bring back. So yeah, it's really nice.
And I hear they're on their way to another one. I think when I was,
they are. Yeah, that's what we talked about, right? That this is just a little capsule that they shot back down to Earth, and it went off onto its next visit. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
I think some of the destination was 2029. It's supposed to reach that next asteroid.
Yeah. Like I said, the stuff here, this story is going to keep on giving us little drips and bits for months to come as they start figuring out all these things.
Yeah, technology is amazing.
We're going to be there. And all these little drips and drabs and building blocks of life. How long do you want to live, Trey?
That's a good question. We had this discussion a while back, me and my friends, and I said, as long as I'm able to be mobile, self-mobile, I don't want to be a burden on anyone, especially anyone immediate in my family or whatnot. You know what I mean? So as long as I can move around healthy and fine and, get around, I'm good. Pretty much at whatever age. I just don't want to be a burden on anyone myself.
Well, one of those things that determines that about how long of a healthy life, and that's what we're talking about here, is the fact of they now have 16 biomarkers of exactly who lives up to age 100 or beyond. And I know if you're out there and you're saying, Bob, nobody lives to be 100. Those are the couple of rare people. Actually, since the 1970s, every decade, the number of people living to 100 has more than doubled, percentage-wise, of the population. So this is, as the human race is slowly moving forward and we're getting better at health overall, we are able to see some real growth. And this study, 35 years worth of studying people.
Wow. It's a nice substantial amount of time.
Yeah. 44,000 people in Sweden that underwent it from age 64 through age 99. So there are, out of that original 44,000, 1,200 of them made it to 100. That's why this study stood out to me. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What are these people doing that all this number of them made it that far down to make it to be 100?
That's what I was going to say. Besides the markers in their in their analysis, is there anything relations as far as similarities regarding food? I don't know, air quality, water.
And that's one of the things that I have a question with, and I'm just trusting that people, that the scientists have weighted this study properly for who was part of it and all those other things.
Because I said it took place in, I think it said Switzerland.
It's Sweden.
Sweden, okay.
So there's not a lot of diversity in the population of Sweden.
That was my thing.
Yeah.
I like to see this study conducted in multiple areas throughout the world. Yeah. Because I know recently I saw this this woman, her name was Miss Johanna. I think it was Johanna. She's from South Africa. And she was supposed to be, I think she had documentation and everything showing that she was when she passed away. Well, when they first interviewed her, she was 128 years old. She would have been 129 this year in May, but I think she passed away, I think, in March of last year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, she had 50 grandchildren. And
yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, there are those things, those far out exceptions that are hard to prove.
Wow.
And are really interesting to see. Is that something that can be translated to the rest of the population or not?
Yeah, is that some kind
and that's what this study, there's two key things with this study is everyone who made it to 100
had these particular markers,
had the 6.5 glucose level or a creatine as a number or lower, and a creatine level of 125. So when you get a chance to go read this study, for anybody who's out there doing this, you need to pay attention to this and see, this is why your doctor and all the various health stuff out there is saying, cut down on your sugars, because you want to keep those glucose levels low most of your life, and that will extend your life out. And apparently it'll extend it out a long way.
Too, they say, your body turns a lot of that stuff into, unwanted things in your body. So yeah, stay away from all the sugar and stuff like that.
And that's one of the things too. They talked about the reason they highlight those too is some of these other markers, like there's only a 2.5% chance or percentage point change based on which one was that? Uric acid of all the things that they were studying. So I think that's one of those things that as we all take care of ourselves, you're going to learn better. You're going to do these things, and we're all going to start paying attention. And then it's hopeful we have access to the healthier foods, et cetera.
That is the key. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The cost of living, being that it's, going up so fast, so rapidly right now. That's the main thing. Like having access and being able to afford quality food.
Yeah.
So,
And speaking of having access to healthy, clean water, did you see this at the end of last month?
Yeah.
This story has been going on for about 2 weeks, and I was kind of like, should we put it on the show or not? And then finally we got a new breakthrough yesterday. So tell me what you thought about as you were hearing it just as a regular person there, Trey.
Well, when I initially saw this story, I was just thinking maybe they had issues with the levees or the city pipes, sort of the thing going on up in Michigan or whatnot. But this is saltwater intrusion because of low water levels and stuff. Kind of, not gonna say completely different, but completely different from what I thought it was. You know what I mean? And this is definitely liable to have a much more greater impact because no fresh water throughout the entire area. So it's very scary.
It's a huge thing. In general, what's happening is the water pressure of the Mississippi flowing south and through New Orleans, and the salt water coming up from the Gulf of Mexico usually balance themselves out in the marshes off down south of the Lake Pontchartrain, that's there for all that kind of stuff. Then what happens, and it's happened about once a decade, is sometimes just the river, because of drought or excessive water use farther upriver, the pressure pushing down isn't enough, so the salt water comes back up. This time in 2023, because it happened last year about this time, and then it went away as expected, but this year the saltwater intrusion came so far up, it was only 2 more days away from reaching right into the general water supply for the city. And they would have to be doing desalination just to have good drinking water.
I saw that.
So if your city gets to a point where you have to tell people who are on low salt diets, don't drink water. And for anyone who's here in South Florida saying, Bob, why are you talking about that? We don't care about that. Yeah, you do. The Pompano well fields, the Homestead well fields are all right now dealing with saltwater intrusion. They've lost, I think, 24 well sites so far between Broward and Miami-Dade counties where the salt water is just too high now. They can't use it for fresh water for drinking water anymore. They can still use it for agriculture, but they can't use it for doing any kind of household water.
Yeah,
So it is something that's coming for us all.
The thing is, I haven't seen much of it though. Yeah, you know I mean, so like you say, maybe we need to talk about it more to bring it to light a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, it's only gonna come in more on us. So.
Yep. And there is a drought monitor map that you can follow. Again, this is why we put these links in the story notes for you, for everybody. Go click on that map and you can see anywhere you are in the United States. Doesn't have to be down here on the coast because there's drought up in Minnesota right now too. So go check it out. Go see what you got going on in your local area so you can be aware and hopefully take advantage of fixing some stuff ahead of time. I got one last story for you, Trey.
Let's go.
Because this is something I know you do. So artificial intelligence and doing all of these things with basically by algorithms. I mean, we're not in general artificial intelligence. We're in generative, large language models, etc. We're talking about that. And the idea here in this article, again, the conversation is a website we've used several times on the show because it's a really good starting point for exactly that. Go visit this, have a conversation with your friends and family. Tell me, Trey, do you trust Congress to come up with new laws about AI or the European Union to come up with new laws, or do you want to just enforce the laws we've got?
I'm kind of torn because as an artist, you know what I mean? You don't want too many rules and regulations on your craft, your work. However, with given AI and some of the things that I've seen regarding how they take the voiceovers, and they'll type out their own script and I don't know, put Will Smith or another artist's voice over that and go. How do you manage that? And you know what I mean? Is that copyright infringement? Is that some kind of infringement on our work?
And that's part of the issue is if I were to go do that, if I'm going to take something that you did as a performance, or flip it the other way, you're going to go do a performance of what I've been saying out here on the show. You're going to go do your own spin on it and perform it. That's fair use. Because you can do a parody of me, you can do an imitation of me, you can mimic me. I mean, that's what all these different things are about.
It's scary.
So in my idea, one of the things I've picked up a lot of in a lot of these conversations is nobody wants to change the rules for individual things. They want to change the rules for the mass number of things. So and that's one of the problems with AI is its scale. Yeah. Like it's okay to write a novel in the where you sound like Jane Austen, somebody who's free of copyright. None of Jane Austen's stuff is in copyright, so you're allowed to use it. You're allowed to imitate her style and do all those things. And nobody has a problem with me writing one book like that.
But what if you were to write a book and use the voiceover of, say, Anne Rice, rest her soul? Something like that. How would that be taken?
Exactly. Or if I can write 100 books in one day.
You know what I mean? So
that's where we start getting into these. There is a law that controls this, but it's not being applied right now in a lot of cases, mostly because of how long it takes for people to actually do something about it. So
I don't know.
Tell me.
I don't have an issue with people using AI to write their own. I don't know if you want to use it to write a book, so be it.
Yeah.
I think my issue sometimes comes when you're taking the voice of an artist or an author, and especially without their permission. Like for instance, I was watching The Breakfast Club, and they were talking about music awards, and one of the songs that was being presented for an award was a song created with AI, taking a voice from Drake and someone else, and it was actually up for the award. So who wins the award first? Who gets paid from that award, and any monetary income
that's actually why it got nominated for the award. We covered that one on the show back in the spring. Okay. Because nobody owns a copyright for it, so nobody would actually, if it won, there's nobody to actually receive an award because it's not copyrightable because it was done by AI.
So if I had my AI program and I was to write a book or whatever with AI, you can't copyright that.
You can't copyright that book. Anybody can go use it and do it. Anybody can take that painting behind you, throw it through AI, make the changes to it, and now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're in a strange new world, and everybody's got to really talk about this. Artists have to talk about this with everyday consumers and everything like that.
This is definitely another discussion that we probably need to come back to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a scary time.
Speaking of art, you've got a really cool thing coming up here.
Yes.
Saturday the 21st. So not this weekend, but next weekend.
Tell
us about it.
We have AALRCC coming out next weekend. It's our volume 4. Each year, started 2018, we were doing AALRCC presents. Basically, I'm sorry, got tongue tied here a little bit, but in a nutshell, this event features artists of African American artists and illustrators primarily. I'm sorry, tongue tie. I got so much going on here now. However, we invite everyone to come out, and this year we're bringing back Manuel and Gazelle Godoy, the owners and CEO of Black Sands Entertainment. Right now, and I have all of their comics and magazines here waiting for them to come so I can get them all.
And they're getting get signed, and and people can get autographs.
Yes.
And there's cosplay going on.
Yes.
And last October, that's what we covered on our monthly show was cosplay. Yes. Go back and watch Creation Station Monthly for October last year. They'll get some hints on your cosplay.
Yeah. So we have a cool lineup coming up. We have Miss Narissa Street. She'll be doing Altered Visions. She's going to be showing you guys how to create a Black utopia. She's great.
Narissa's great. She writes some really nice stuff.
Yes, great personality, really friendly, really outgoing. I'm excited to see her discussion. Her discussion starts at 11 o'clock. She's going to be opening up for us. We have our local George Moss. If any of you guys have been to any of the comic series in South Florida, you should be familiar with George Moss. Yeah. We have Silverback Comics coming. We have our favorite guy, Jeff Carroll. He'll be out here. Shane Taken.
Are you doing the robots again this year?
No,
not this year. Okay.
Yeah, not this year.
Was that?
That was the second year.
Oh, that was volume 2.
Yeah,
okay.
That was.
You folks out there are missing out on this. It's different every year. I mean, like I'm saying. Trey had a 12-foot tall walking robot with somebody inside of it there one year. It was insane.
And then this is our first show opening back since COVID restrictions.
Yep.
This is the first one we're allowed to do back in person. So yeah, we're looking to start everything back up, have a good time, have the people come out and enjoy.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. For sure.
Come show us off.
Definitely going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you for being here, Trey. Let's throw up our final slide here. If there is a librarian or library you want to see featured on the show, creationstation@broward.org comes right to me. We'll get y'all on board. See you next week.
Again, Bob.